All right, all right, all right, all right. This is You Can't Make This Shit Up. Your host, Joe Hawksley, David Washington. And today on the show, we will look at the Greater Orlando Airport Authority, also known as GOAA, Orlando's airport governing body. And GOAA is planning to break a promise to protect Mud Lake and its surrounding wetlands. Mud Lake is adjacent to the airport. And so there's an idea that this is possibly great opportunity for development. This could be another attempt by local government to renege on a legal preservation pledge in the face of high intensity growth in East Orange and Osceola counties. So, Joel, let's jump in.
Well, I want to start out by immediately saying I'm in support of removing the conservation easement on Mud Lake. Um, this is not a promise given or a promise broken. This is a easement that was developed in the growth of a addition to an expansion of the airport, another runway. This is not in the authority of the airport as much as this is in the authority of our elected water conservation or water management team. So the Orlando International Airport's request to remove the conservation easement on Mud Lake, it presents an opportunity to balance environmental protection with the needs of a growing community. Removing the easement would benefit the airport, the local economy, and air travel safety. At the same time, minimizing the environmental impact can mitigate through careful planning and responsible development. So that's where I'm going to stand on this one, David. It's probably more beneficial for safety because of the amount of foul that we have uh, in that area now and the dangers it poses to our aircraft.
Very valid points. And I don't think there's anything that I disagree with what you just said. What I'm concerned about, and this goes with, good governance, is the fact that we're at a situation again in East Orange where another government entity is reneging on its promise to protect our natural environments. And that's the piece I'm coming from. Again, your point is very valid. However, when is a promise not a promise? And so, if we entrust our elected officials to make decisions based on the guidance of the constituency in the hopes that they're working in the best interest of that constituency, when do we hold them accountable when they decide that, well, we're not going to follow through on what we promised to do? And for GOA to go to the South Florida Water Management District and request this assessment of developing Mud Lake, it feels like another betrayal, like the betrayal to Split Oak Mitigation Forest when the Central Florida Highway Authority is seeking to run a toll road or expressway through the southwestern corner of Split Oak. After again, the elected officials making a promise to keep that mitigation forest free from any type of development forever. That's the hard part to not necessarily understand, but to come to terms with.
Okay, but was it a promise? So I agree, but was it a promise that could be kept? If the if we look at federal law says that any land that is not used for airport activities is supposed to be able to economically offset some of the costs. And this is all they're saying is we're at the point right now with the growth that we need to look at these things, because it's not like they're going to be putting in something that's not airport usable. It's not like it's going to. I mean, is it going to be a hangar? Is it going to be a? Is it going to be like rental car facilities, stuff like that?
Storage. Right.
Well, it's because and we knew what the federal law going in was. Uh, have we really diminished any of the 39 to 40% of our actual county that is protected from development? You're talking about 1/10 of 1% of the 40% of the county that is actually protected, whether state forestry, national parks. You know, it's depending on who you actually look at. The county says it's 35% protected. The nonprofits say when you take the privately owned trusts, and it becomes about 39 to 40%. Yeah, so when you do the research on the county itself, you're talking about 60% of the county is actually occupied and available for development. This is 1/10 of 1% mud lake.
Right. And the key word in what you just said is the development. There's no doubt that Central Florida and all of Florida is growing exponentially, and there is no doubt in my mind that there is a plan or the thought of paving over everything from uh, Davenport to Sanford. Just make Orlando one sprawling metropolis, and we're seeing the effects of unsustainable growth and the flooding of our streets when we have a big storm, the flooding of certain neighborhoods like Orlo Vista. And when do we stop? When do we put the brakes on and look at the growth and say, okay, it stops right here? When do we keep our promises and say it stops right here? And Florida being my second home, I love it. I love the open spaces. I love the thought of the preservation of our natural resources here. There's so much development that you can do. And I just hope that uh, when GOAA and the South Florida Water Management District uh, continue these conversations, that they take the preservation of Mud Lake into a greater consideration and mitigate the effects of paving over Mud Lake. It appears that
Yeah,
on the
see, I don't see
face
it.
value that
Yeah,
this would move forward.
yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it as a paving over of Mud Lake, and and enhanced airport safety. Mud Lake's proximity to the runway poses a potential hazard to the aircraft. Removing the easement would allow the airport to implement safety measures like bird control and habitat modification reduction, and reduce the bird strike risk. Okay, it creates economic growth. The freed up land could be used for various airport related development, generating jobs, attracting businesses, and boosting the local economy. You know, these developments could include cargo facilities, maintenance hangars, or just office space, which I take office space off of there because of our impact of COVID. I
And,
looked at improving the
mhm.
infrastructure. I looked at improving the infrastructure. The additional revenue generated could be used to improve airport infrastructure, enhancing the travel experience for passengers and airlines alike. This could include investments in terminal upgrades, ground transportation options. If you've been in the Terminal C, it definitely needs to have a moving sidewalk because that thing is huge. I mean,
Right,
the
right.
things that this could do, but addressing the environment, that's where I think you really bring a great point, David. And in my research for this, I take the the emotion of the emotion out of it, like you'd say. And while its environmental impact remains a priority, right? The responsibility development practices can be mitigated
Mhm.
by habitat preservation, designing areas within the airport grounds for wetland restoration and wildlife habitat creation. Plenty that prevents the paving over. The water quality management, implementing measures to prevent pollution, runoff, and effects of the surrounding wetlands. Okay, and then community engagement to make sure
Mhm.
that that we're working in collaboration with the environmental groups and make sure that they they're happy with where we're going. Again, I do see exactly where you're coming from, but I think that we can be environmentally impactful and at the same time making the airport a better functioning area, safer for travel, and still preserving. Mud Lake is not accessible. You're not going to go fishing in Mud Lake. As much as it might sound like that in the article, Mud Lake is not accessible to the average person. This will make it accessible. This will make it accessible. It will make it functional, and we can make it environmentally safe.
And I just have to push back on the risk to airport security and to incoming and outgoing aircraft. The Orlando Sentinel went to Mud Lake back in 2015, and they did a write up in regards to what they saw and the impact as Mud Lake and the surrounding wetlands has to the airport, especially after they just implemented a north south and an additional east west runway. And they stated that they were able to launch boats into Mud Lake with practice efficiency and netted a large haul of fish that were taken away and released into other lakes to minimize the amount of birds that will come into Mud Lake and um, potentially interfere with air traffic. They said that, in contrast to the airport's current claim, there was convenient and direct access to Mud Lake in order to minimize the bird population and its effect on airport security and airline security. And the Sentinel went with airport personnel to look at this a bit closer. It'd be great to see another um, a study like this or another excursion by the Sentinel or any other media authority. Or even us, let's all do a field trip to not only the new Terminal C but also to Mud Lake, and see and see if the mitigation efforts to reduce the bird population is successful. And is it a burden to GOA and to the city of Orlando? However, there's an argument for both. I do think that they'll move forward with the effort to develop uh, the area because the growth is there and is continuing.
Yeah. So very interesting points. And so if you just wanted to look at bird strikes, right? Because that's where most people go to. Thankfully they're rare. You know,
Right.
the the
Right.
the, the, the despite the vast number of flights taking place daily, only around 13,000 bird strikes occur annually in the United States alone, and that translates to roughly one strike for every 11,600 flights an hour. So, but the bad news, well, uncommon bird strikes can have serious consequences. Between 1988 and 2021, over 300 people were killed and nearly 300 planes were destroyed due to wildlife strikes, bird strikes. You know, the species that are involved is the waterfowl, ducks, geese, swans. They're responsible for about 31% of the reported bird strikes, and that follows by gulls to 26%. Now, if you had plenty of eagles and hawks, we'd be really safe because it's only 18% of those the raptors creating the strikes. But yeah, so when you look at when you look at it as a bird strike thing, I don't think that's alone where we have to look. I think we need to look at the fact that yes, you may be able to put your boat out there, you may be able to go fishing out there, but you can't access it right now. They had the way they had to get to it was not. It was okay, great. The Orlando Sentinel can get there, but can you get there? Right, the way
Right,
it's
right, right.
designed right
Yeah,
now.
for obvious
So
security reasons.
yeah, the reason they could get out there is because they went with the people that run the airport because that's the
Right.
only way you can get there. So um,
Exactly.
I think I think we both see the same thing. You know, in the fact that Mud Lake's important.
Hmm.
I just want it to be accessible. I want it to be I want it to be safe for air travel. I want to see economic growth out towards the airport. Um, I want to see affordable housing. We can't build affordable housing because we can't even decide what we're going to do about this area. And the water flooding that you talked about, that's a government problem. Those are there's solutions out there that the government hasn't invested in. There's plenty from the research I've seen. Even the government of Orange County says there's plenty of protected land in the county at 23,000 acres minimum, or 20 or they say 35%, 30 some odd percent.
Right. Right.
So we're only using 60%, and we still have plenty in the 60% to develop. I think this is a minute thing, and just something that the Sentinel can get our environmentalists higher up and get them out to vote. So thank you very much, David. You can't make this shit up. I think you a great topic. I appreciate it. I thank God I finally had something I could do my research on and really know, because working for John Micah and being around the transportation industry, this was fun. So thank you very much, David. We will protect Mud Lake as best we can.
All right. This is You Can't Make This Shit Up. We are your political innovators, Joel Hawksley, David Washington. We'll see you the next time. Please like, share, comments. We love your comments. We love responding to your comments. And we are here to have that conversation. Join our community. Please subscribe. We're out.